In practice number 1, it's asking you to write an explicit function to represent the geometric sequence. Now I'd like you to go ahead and try this on your own first and then compare your answers with mine so that it gives you some practice in doing this. So go ahead and pause the video right now and come back after you've attempted all 4. Now that you've attempted these on your own, let's go ahead and look at some of the work I have down and I will go through the answers with you. So in letter A, one thing that you should have recognized is that you are multiplying by 6 each time. And so I want to show you the number of 6's compared to that term number to help you realize what that exponent should entail. And so what you should realize in letter A is that the number of 6's is 1 less than the term number. 1 is less than 2, 2 is 1 less than 3. So the answer here would be, and you can label these anything you want. I labeled this x and f of x. So I had f of x is equal to, I started with 2, multiplied by 6 each time, and again that number of 6's was 1 less than my x value, so I'm raising this to the x minus 1. Then if we go ahead and look at letter B we multiplied by 2 each time. Notice this time the number of 2's that we multiplied by were the exact same as our term number, and I labeled this again as x and f of x. You could use whatever labels you want. So my number of 2's is the same as my x. So my equation should be f of x equals, I started with the number 5, and I multiplied by 2, the exact number as my term number. So this is just raised to the x. Then if we take a look at letter C we started with 4, and then we multiplied by 3 each time. Comparing the number of 3's to our term number, and let's call that x and f of x again. Remember, you can label whatever letters you want to use. So my x's, or my number of 3's, are 2 less than what my x's are. So when I write my equation, I get f of x is equal to, I started with the 4, I multiplied by 3, 2 less than my x's, so x minus 2. And then finally we have letter D. Letter D was actually a word problem that you had to read through. And after you read through that word problem, I advise to set up a table. So I set up a table. We're talking about number of days. I labeled that as D, compared to the number of sit-ups, which I labeled as S of D. And it said on the first day it was 8 sit-ups. So the first day, 8 sit-ups. And then it said it's doubling each day. Doubling means multiplying by 2. So day 2 I had 16. Day 3 I had 32. And then I represented that just like my other tables in A, B, and C. And I compared the number of 2's with the letter D. And I could see that it's 1 less each time. So my equation here would be S of D is equal to, I started with 8, and I multiplied by 2 each time, and that D minus 1 is my exponent because my number of 2's that I'm multiplying by is 1 less than the number of days.